Hello and welcome to the Tuesday night weekly guest show. After a 2-week break, I am back with the emotional awareness discussion, and this week I have with me an amazing guest, somebody I would be very honoured to call a friend. We've connected online through our writing processes, and she's recently published her own book, The Master Freedom Plan, if I got that right, The Master Freedom Plan. And I am so excited to hear what Mitali has to say to us tonight, because although the awareness is about emotional awareness discussion and her book is an entirely different topic around leveraging a business book, she has such a powerful message behind that for a business that I just had to have you here on the show. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Kay. I appreciate it. It was the Freedom Master Plan, so it was the other way around.
Oh, Freedom Master Plans. Whoops. and I've read it as well.
I know you have. You left me a lovely review as well.
Oh, I know, it's a brilliant book. Actually, I'll be honest, I'm about 3/4 of the way through. I've still got a little bit more to go, but I'm getting there. But yeah, absolutely loving it. So, yes, I'm hoping everybody knows we're on live tonight and we get some viewers come on, because I've got to genuinely apologise to my regular viewers that I've missed a couple of weeks, and now I'm getting that feedback that you were getting. I might have to, bear with me, I might have to run and get some headphones and it might sort out my loop. Bear with me 2 secs.
Yeah, go for it.
It would help if I knew where I put them. Right, now I've lost my headphones. Right, we're going to have to hope this doesn't feed back onto the live. Right, so yes, we're getting a bit of a sound loop, and I have new equipment. I've gone very posh now. I bought one of these. Normally I just do it with my headphones on. So anyway, where was I? Yes, reading the book. So viewers, I've missed a couple of weeks. I do genuinely apologise that we have missed a couple. I had 2 cancellations in a row. The first one, I had literally just had my COVID jab and I felt awful. And I was actually quite pleased that night to have a cancellation. And then last week's was a last minute a cancellation again. And I was just like so burnt out last week. I apologise. I took time out to recover. So we are back. And again, amazing to have you here, Mitali. And
Thank you.
I am so looking forward to having another, because it's not the first time we've spoken.
No, it has been a while.
It has, yeah, since the book launch.
Yeah.
And but we just clicked, didn't we? As soon as we spoke online or connected online, we just clicked.
Yeah, I think you were watching one of my lives and then you left a comment and then we started conversing after that or something like that. I think that's how we met.
I think, yeah, it started off with a comment, but you commented about LinkedIn, which is best, yes. Facebook or LinkedIn? And I commented
your
about...
Your memory is far better than mine.
No, you reminded me of that last time we spoke.
Oh, yes, well, that kind of answered that question myself. I find... I probably shouldn't be saying this because this is going out on Facebook, but I think I prefer LinkedIn to Facebook, I'll have to say.
Yeah, I don't know which I prefer, but I do find very different people follow me on each. Yeah. And it's a different audience, different market, different level of connection on each. But at the same time, there is an equal amount of connection that I get with people where you learn a lot about their personal lives on Facebook and then more about their business life on LinkedIn. So it's a very different level on both. And it's just learning how to merge the two and understand the two. And they've both got very different ways of working. So whatever you do on Facebook is just completely different on LinkedIn, although the theory's there.
I think the reason why I prefer LinkedIn is I just feel, and again, I'm not sure if I should be saying this because they're on Facebook.
I'll go for it.
But they throttle a lot of the reach organically now. You know, LinkedIn is still... It feels like Facebook 4 or 5 years ago. So, you know, you could just put a post on LinkedIn and I get loads of people viewing it straight away. Whereas on Facebook, hardly any views, because I get the feeling what Facebook are trying to do is get you to pay. So they want you to pay for your posts, you know, advertise, and then they'll show it to people. So for that reason, I mean, LinkedIn, in all fairness, is probably going to go down that route at some point as well.
Yeah.
But at the
Well,
moment, I just
they
get the
have the
feeling.
professional level, so
Yeah.
there's the
Yeah.
free and professional level. But they are very, very different. But yeah,
Yeah.
Facebook has had so many tweaks this year. If they actually watch this live, if Facebook actually watch this, I'm very honoured. It's very unlikely. So say what you like.
Like, oh my God, there's this woman in Gateshead who's talking smack about us.
Yes, that's the other part. You're in the UK. You have a
Yes.
very British accent, very much like myself, but a very different one.
Yes, well, actually, this is Geordie via private school, and then Manchester, and then London, which is why you can understand me.
Oh,
If you
wow.
met me when I was, 10 years old, I'm not sure if you would have understood everything I said, Kay.
Oh,
I
my
had a
word.
very, very strong accent then.
Oh, it's really funny because I'm the other way around. I started in Kent, then went to Lincolnshire and then Norfolk. But while I was in Lincolnshire, my best friend was Scottish, so I picked up a bit of that as well.
Oh, so you're like me. I do that. I can pick up different people's accents. And then I feel bad because I think, will they think I'm aping them?
Yeah,
You know,
I didn't even
I'm not
think it
doing
then.
that.
It's just,
I'm not even doing that. It's just I start absorbing accents.
and the funny thing was when I moved to Norfolk for years, because I moved here when I was 11, and it wasn't until I had children and they went to school that they picked up the Norfolk accent really clearly, and then I picked it up off my children. I did it all back to front. So, but yes. So anyway, yes. So we have some guests. Hi and welcome to the show. And yes, so emotional awareness. First of all, let's start with your book launch. You had actually a really amazing book launch, and I wish I'd have watched yours before I planned mine because I would have done it so differently.
Oh, what you have to remember, Kay, is it'd be very easy for me to now say, oh, yes, I knew it was going to be this amazing success. It wasn't.
Of course you did.
Honestly, I was expecting around 50 people to turn up. I was working on the ratio of 1 to 4. Because lots of people sign up to things, especially because it was a free event as well. I wasn't charging, So I genuinely thought if I ask around 200 people, if 50 people turn up, I've done all right.
Yeah.
That was my thinking, because I did have a few people message me saying, hey, I want to come to your book launch party, but
Yeah.
I've never been to one of these before and I'm not sure what I'm expected to do. And I'm like, what are you talking about? But this is, I have some people
You just sit
in
and
my
watch.
life. Exactly. But there's people out there, believe it or not, who are so introverted.
Yeah.
That even just being on a book launch, especially with a small number of people, they'll feel like they should put their camera on and they need to interact, and they're not comfortable with doing that. So in my head, I was thinking, if I can get 50 people on, that's a nice enough crowd where the extroverts can be like, hey, this is me. And all the introverts can just take their camera off, get a glass of wine and just watch it as if they're watching Netflix or something like that. That was my thinking. What I wasn't expecting is at one stage was there over 160 people
It was
in
getting
the
that
Zoom
way,
or something like that. It was crazy. I honestly couldn't have expected a better outcome. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was a very nice event. You had some incredible stuff going on, some really good support behind you. So tell us about why you started, what your book is about and why you've started this, and then we'll lead this through to why it all fits with emotional awareness. So.
Well, the book is really there to help people write books. So you've been through the process and you actually had really good guidance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you did really well, and I was so pleased for you, when you told me about who you were working with and who was helping you. And I was like, oh, this seems like a really professional outfit. They know what they're doing. Sadly, there's a lot of people out there who don't give you value for money as a book coach, as a book publisher. Which then it's sad because it tar us all with the same brush, So you have that. There's also people who genuinely don't have the money for a book coach and a book publisher, and they really need to do it themselves. So what my book is really about is helping people understand why they should write a book.
Yeah.
So it's not so much on how to write a book, it's more about why they need to write a book. Because I think lots of people have this idea of writing a book, but they don't really understand why they need to do it.
And I think you mean, sorry, why more as in a business point of view rather than a from the heart point of view?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mainly work with entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
So what you've written, I've got your book. I'm just trying to work out. It's on my bookshelf somewhere. I'm sure I've got your book somewhere. It's brilliant, by the way. But yeah,
Thank you.
got your book.
Okay, lovely.
I love it. But the thing is, I know you wrote it from the heart. You weren't really writing it from a business perspective.
No.
It's all down to your son and the fact that, the medical profession in this country just gave up on him. They just said, we've done everything, we can't do anymore. And you were like, well, how do I do that? I'm his mother. You can do that, but I can't do that. I'm his mother. And it's a testament to a mother's love and that, mothers just never give up. So I love the book. But what you also have to understand is that book is not just going to help other people, whether they have the same diagnosis as your son or their family and friends who are worried about somebody who has the diagnosis that your son has. It is actually going to open doors for you. I know you didn't envisage that because you weren't even thinking of that. You just wanted to get it out into the world. You did it for the purest reasons. The people that I work with, they already want the book to do something for them. So they're already an entrepreneur, they're a coach, they're a consultant, they're a speaker or an expert of some sort. And they want the book to build their authority and, they want to be seen as a big deal in their niche.
Yeah.
You didn't want that, but you're going to get that anyway.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
Because that's what a book does. And what my book, The Freedom Master Plan, what that is all about is showing you how to do that.
Yeah.
It's showing you how to leverage your book, because that's the key thing. I mean, I've never really liked the word leverage because it doesn't sound nice to me. I don't know why. Leverage sounds like a weird word, doesn't it? But it's the best word for me to use. And leverage is the most important thing. You'll know this yourself as an author. The days of making money from actually selling your book, you live in cloud cuckoo land if you think you can just, write a book, publish it, and then retire on the proceeds. It's not going to happen. No. Where you make the money is not from the sales of the book. It's by leveraging the book.
Yeah.
And what my book is shows you all the tips and strategies that you could ever need to leverage a book.
Yeah, that's amazing. And like you say, you work with a lot of professionals, and these are people who do coaching, and this is where what I really want to dig into this conversation with you, because this is where I find the power of your message is when you talk about people coaching, and they're the people that want to push and publish books and say, I have experience and I have knowledge, and if you want to take the book and read it, there it is. It's like putting it out of your head into a book. But also what they run as a coaching business on the back. And I love what you talk about on your videos about coaches, and that's what I really wanted to get from you today. So tell us a bit about your backstory, and I know obviously the viewers don't know what you do, but I know that you've written your book on the back of being a ghostwriter, so you're used to working in the publishing environment anyway. So your book is on the back of experience. And that's one of the best ways to write a book, isn't it? Off the back of experience. How can you write a book for something?
I always say, write what you know. You can't, especially with a book, you can't really pull the wool over people's eyes for very long. No. So if you don't know what you're talking about, you're going to be found out very soon. So always write what you know.
Yeah. It's funny actually. I've just had a conversation an hour ago with a psychologist in Kenya. And had the most incredible conversation. And, she's a psychologist about to finish her doctorate. She's got her own private practice. And again, she's wowed by the book. And it's like, all her years of doctorate and psychology study and her master's and degrees and everything she's done. And it just astonishes people that I've managed to take what is this completely hypothetical thing around emotions and put it into a visual diagram. Like time, you can't see time, but you see time on the clock. And that's how I feel I've taken my whole concept of emotions and made it visible with the little diagram up here. And when I speak to people like that who really are experts, and they're going, wow, that's when I realised, like you said, I've written from the heart, but it's this coaching bit and experts and everything.
Well,
So
that's
you,
what a good coach does. What a good coach does is take things that appear difficult and make it simple, make it digestible. And that's what you've done. You're not even a coach, but that's
yeah,
essentially what you've done.
yeah. Well, they're working towards that way. I'm not sure coach is the right word, but trainer,
Yeah.
trainer, mentor, advisor, whatever, you know. So it is leading that way now because you have to build that. But so what led you into ghostwriting and publishing in the first place? And tell us a bit more about your backstory. That would be lovely.
Well, we don't have hours, so let me do a very short version of it. So I've been reading from a very early age. So I would say from the age of 4, as soon as I could read, I was reading. And
Wow.
I don't remember this, but my mother tells me that the very first day I went to nursery, I'm the first of 4 children, which
Okay.
means my mother and father, they come from an Indian Bengali background. And that was what they were speaking to me in the
Wow.
house. So when I went to nursery on the first day, as a 4-year-old, I had no concept that I was in a country where the language that I spoke wasn't the main language. In fact, I'm not even sure if I was even aware that there was more than one language. So obviously on the first day, I went running off into a sea of children and wanting to interact with them and speak to them. And I assume they didn't understand a word that I said because I was speaking in Bengali to them.
Oh
So
my
my mother
word.
tells me she found me when she came to pick me up. She found me in the corner library. You know how all nurses used to have a library in the corner?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Best
I
place.
was there, exactly. I was there buried in books. And then she tells me from then on, every single time she dropped me off, I'd run off to the corner. And then when she would pick me up a few hours later, I'd be still in the corner reading as many books as possible. I assume I was doing that because I instinctively knew I needed to learn this language so I can communicate with the other kids. But that's where my love of books came from.
Oh
And
wow.
then it was a natural progression from that to start writing. So I started writing stories, poems, things that kids enjoy doing,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Um, so I don't want to go to because, like I said, we'll be here forever. But
All right.
so what that naturally led to when I was older, I decided that I wanted to do a media studies degree. I did that at Manchester University.
Wow.
And then I did a master's at London School of Journalism, which then allowed me to become a freelance journalist for a number of northwest newspapers and magazines.
Wow.
So I really enjoyed that. I spent a number of years really enjoying being like a roving reporter type. It was really enjoyable. And then when things went wrong, well, things went wrong somewhere before that. I actually, at the age of 19, when I first went into university, I became addicted to amphetamines. And it was just something that all the kids were doing at that time. That was just the fashionable drug. But there's always, in every generation, there's a fashionable drug. And most people do it and then they leave it. They grow up and they leave it. But there's always a small minority where it becomes a real problem. And I
Yeah.
unfortunately was in that small minority where it became a real problem. So whereas all my other friends did it, but then it was like, okay, I need to get sensible now. I'm doing a degree. I want to do really well. I want to graduate. I couldn't give it up.
Oh
I was
goodness.
addicted to it. So I ended up dropping out of university and I lived in and out of homeless shelters for about a year. And thankfully, I was assigned a team of wonderful counselors and mentors and coaches who got me clean. And that's how I was able to go back to university, finish that degree, then go and do my master's, and then become a reporter.
Oh, well
Um,
done.
Thank you. But yeah, it's really because of these people. I don't think I would have been able to do it on my own. In fact, I know I wouldn't be able to do it on my own. So there's always been an affinity with coaches and consultants and mentors. That's probably the darkest point in my life. But there's been other moments in my life. Even right now, I have a business coach, I have a mentor, I still have a therapist. So there's still these people in my life now who help me with my life and inform
Yeah.
me. So I think I've always had an affinity with these people. And that's why I've always wanted to work with them. What I do as a book publisher, as a book coach, I can really work with anybody. And yet I do choose to work with coaches and consultants and mentors and speakers for a reason, because they've been the ones that have been really there for me in my life. So that's why I like working with them.
Oh wow, that's amazing, and thank you for sharing that, because I think that's so powerful that you've recognised the importance of those people in your life. And you said something really important there as well, in that you couldn't do things alone. And I think this is where a lot of teenagers and youngsters these days, they think they can't reach out for help. And actually it's really important they do. And to hear something like that, I think is really inspiring. And not just that you got help, but that you've then recognised that and gone on to help those kind of people in return, like new people who are coaching or people who've done it for years and want to write that book, that you're now there to support them in return, like you're giving back.
That's the thing that came. That's the thing that came to me last year, because as a ghostwriter, I loved my role as a ghostwriter. I really, really enjoyed it. And the issue, however, was I was helping people who were already doing really well. Ghostwriters are expensive. You're talking tens of thousands of pounds or dollars to hire someone to write a book. So someone who was hiring me, they're already doing incredibly well. They usually, I'm talking six-figure entrepreneurs already, but they want to go that next level up, you know? Yeah. And I just thought, okay, that's great, but I'm kind of helping the successful become even more successful. Which there's nothing wrong with that. But there's far more coaches, consultants, mentors, speakers who are in that sort of 5-figure bracket. And they want to hit 6 figures. No one's helping those people because they don't have the money to hire someone like me to write their book. So that's where the idea came about, because I've written that many books already. I know how to structure. My very first book that I wrote took me over a year to write. The final book that I ghostwritten for somebody took me 6 weeks.
Wow.
So you can see the difference, you know. Yeah. So I'd almost boiled it down to a very specific structure. And that's when I thought, okay, well, now that I've done that, why don't I just show people that structure?
Yeah. That's
and that helps more people. So Mr. or Mrs. Moneybags who wants to hire me as a ghostwriter, okay, fine. But all the people who can't afford to hire me or somebody else to write a book, I can show them how to do it themselves. And that makes it far cheaper. And it means something that more people can afford to do.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. Yvette says hi, and she says, this may help someone knowing that there are people out there that can help them. And yeah,
there's
absolutely.
always people out there. I always say there's always someone out there, but you have to reach out for them. There's this belief that, you know, people magically just turn up in your life. It can happen every so often, but most times it doesn't. You need to go out and find them in whatever capacity. You need to go out and find them. Yeah. But there are people there always.
Yeah. And that kind of actually is reflection on the opposite, is the amount of times when people want help and they can't find it. They can't find the help they need when they need it, or they don't find out information until it's too late or after the facts, and then they're reflecting back. And this is where talk shows like this are really important as well. Although I don't have the biggest of viewings on this one, but it still could help even one person to go, oh, do you know, I didn't know I could get that help, or I could go there, or I hadn't thought of that concept. And it's just getting those conversations going, inspire people as well. And if it does mean somebody goes out and buys a book or makes a phone call or connects with somebody on social media and it makes a difference in their life, it's got to be worthwhile. Absolutely has to be.
I think also just be aware that it never stops. You know, I still have a therapist now.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get to a place where needing help for your mental health should be seen as something, like, for example, you go to, a lot of people go to the gym, or they go for a run regularly, or they do something to keep themselves healthy. They don't, you know, wait for something to go wrong with their body and then think, oh, maybe I should exercise. They keep at it because they know that you need to maintain a healthy weight, and a healthy circulation. You need all those things to live a long and healthy and happy life. Why don't we think that way when it comes to our mental health?
Yeah.
I plan on having a therapist for the rest of my life. I don't plan on ever stopping, because the
Wow.
way I see it is, it's like me going to the gym, but for my mental health.
Yeah. That's a really good way of looking at it, actually. Yeah.
She keeps me in check. We check in with each other once a month. If I am going through something, I schedule more sessions with her if I need to. But a lot of the times now I don't. But I'm always checking in with her, because I just see it as a way of, keeping my brain healthy in the same way I try and keep my body healthy.
Yeah, no, it's a really important concept, because, like you say, we do. Well, I say we in general. It's way too easy to overlook that care of emotions and the brain and everything, and yeah, a lot of people don't get help all their life. And
I think the other thing, Kay, that really makes me sad is I have the means to have a therapist and pay a therapist once a month. And that's what it all comes down to, sadly. It comes down to money. And the reason why a lot of people don't reach out until too late is because we live in a culture where it's all about waiting until something is broken and then you fix it.
Yeah.
It's all about the cure, not the prevention.
Yeah, that's why I've done this book, because
exactly. That's why I loved your book, because
Yeah.
this is all about. I really think we need to be far more proactive when it comes to mental health. It needs to be something that we prevent things getting that bad, rather than waiting for somebody to break and then helping them.
Yeah.
It's the wrong way around.
But again, if they are feeling broken as such, there is plenty in the book that can support them through that as well.
Absolutely.
But you're right, prevention is always better than cure. And even if somebody's not broken, learning more is never a bad thing. It can only lead to good things.
Something just recently, Kay. I was speaking to a wonderful lady who was also called your name, Kay, but not you.
Okay.
There's another wonderful Kay. And she was telling me it's this concept of understanding that you are not your emotions, and actually reminded me of bits of your book as well. And it was something that even I learned. And she was saying, we all kind of think that we are our thoughts, and because we are our thoughts, when we have bad thoughts, we judge ourselves for it. And we can beat ourselves up for thinking things. We're almost like we're our own 1984 thought police, but we do it to ourselves. And she really believes in this concept that thoughts are just these things that happen. You just got to see them as bubbles that blow up and then they just dissipate and they go. And she was telling me all about, when she meditates, she kind of will have these thoughts, sometimes bad thoughts, and she just almost sees them from afar, just sort of like, oh, that's a thought. I'll just let it dissipate and then it'll just go away. And she doesn't allow herself to think that she's a sum total of her thoughts. She sees thoughts as almost these external things that come into her brain. She doesn't judge herself for them. And all she judges herself for is her actions.
Wow.
And I thought, wow, that's an amazing life lesson there. And I've started to do that myself now. Instead of beating myself up for how I think, I just say, well, no one knows what I think. I'm the only one who knows how I think, so who cares? Or I really should only judge myself on which of these thoughts I turn into actions. That's the only thing I should be judging myself on, or even others should be judging me on, not on how I think.
Yeah. I was really, really interesting, actually, because I completely like the opposite end of this conversation with somebody this morning about how a lot of people can also completely invalidate emotions, like overlook them, ignore them, deny them, just refuse to talk about them, and actually just dismiss other people's emotions, like, oh, that's not important. You say, oh, I'm feeling worried about what you're feeling worried about. It's not important.
Actually not the opposite. It's the same thing, I believe, Kay. It's actually the same thing, because if people are dismissing either their emotions or somebody else's emotions, it's because they see them as dangerous and they want to bat them away. Whereas if you just see it as just things that bubble up and then they can dissipate by themselves, you just allow them to be, without judging you or judging the other person. They're just transient things.
Yeah. But I think there is an element of, like, if somebody is feeling fearful or anxious or worried about something, about giving acknowledgement to it before letting it disappear, as opposed to, like, even putting your hand in somebody's face to go, oh, don't want to talk about it, you know.
Yeah.
And there's that blocking it out kind of like barriers up.
Yeah.
And I think there is like the opposite end. So one thing is acknowledging those emotions before letting them go. And the other one is about just not acknowledging them. And I think it's really important as well. So yes, letting them go is important, but acknowledging them first.
Just being aware of them.
Yeah.
Just being aware that they are there and understanding that they will go. If they're bad emotions, they will go.
Yeah, but recognising that process of letting go as well, not hanging on to them. And I'm just as guilty for hanging on to things, and it's not that I want to sometimes. It's like I keep saying, no, go away. It's like, but sometimes it's like emotions stick because you haven't resolved the thoughts about why they happened. Definitely. And I think sometimes you have to just like acknowledge, okay, I'm having this thought, but why am I having this thought? Why did it go wrong? Why did that happen? What can I do about it? And I think sometimes you just got to really work through some things before you can let it go. So I get the point. If it's some thoughts, yes, there's a thought come in, process it, let it go. But some really, and especially like, having gone through breakup last year, or the issue my son had with depression and that and suicide, some things you can't just say, oh, I was suicidal yesterday, that's thoughts gone today. So some things take a lot longer to clear. And as you know, with the addiction, if you could let them go that easily, you wouldn't, you don't get to that state in the first place. But I get what you're saying. So it's different depths and levels of it, but it's acknowledging that with practice it becomes easier, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
And it takes practice, and for a lot of people it's not easy to do. It sounds easy to do, like, oh, it's a bubble thought, let it go. But it sometimes takes a bit of support to do that, like learning to make a cake. You have to have somebody support you through that the first half a dozen times you do it. Like you get one that comes out uneven, and one that rises too much, and one that comes out flat, and one that's burnt.
I don't think I've ever mastered a great cake, I'll be honest. It's not. I'd love to be one of these domesticated, goddesses, but I'm not, unfortunately.
No, nor me. Nor me. I can if I need to. But I've also, like everything else, to start with, you don't just go in and do it perfectly first time. And it's the same with emotions and everything, it just takes a lot of practice and support. And that's where coaches are amazing, because they're there to help people learn and practice and get it right.
They give you that clarity. They just give you clarity and everything. I've actually, speaking to my coach tomorrow, and I'm already looking forward to it, because I'm at a bit of a crossroads with my business, and I have 2 or 3 possible avenues that I go down, and I'm already looking forward to speaking to him, because he's going to be able to give me clarity on which one's going to work best for me. And that's in business, and it's in everything. I find coaches and consultants and mentors, they're just fantastic people. They really are fantastic people, and I really just want to help as many of them as possible. And that's why I created my program, because I realized the vast majority of coaches and consultants and mentors are not earning 6 figures plus, so they can't afford a ghostwriter. But it's almost a little bit unfair. It's almost like if you have money, you can then make even more money. If you don't have money in the first place, you can never get there, And
that's the one I've been fighting.
I just felt a little bit unfair, and I just thought, so I'm helping these people who already have amazing 6-figure businesses, and I'm helping them go to the next level. But what about the people who don't have 6 figures? How can I help them? So that's where the idea came about.
That's amazing. And no, I get it. And it's the term I couldn't think of earlier. I got it. It was paying it forward. And they are people who have taken all of that experience and they are paying it forward. And okay, it may not be in the form of charity, because they've got to put food on the table, pay the bills. Everybody's got to earn a living. And to have the time to do that, they have to do it as a business. You can't be working a full-time job and paying it forward as a coach in the same way. Not for everything. Some people do, like football coaches that teach kids on the weekend and whatever. Got real passion for that. But to do it as a full-time career it's a huge leap of faith to come out of that career business as well and move into that circle.
Yeah,
it's not an easy not an easy decision to do. And I know that because I'm going through that toughest part at the moment. Okay, like you said, done the book's not going to make money, but it's building that business up on the back and gaining that credibility, etc. And getting the word out, building the audience and all of that. It's a lot of hard work, and it's a very emotional process in itself. Hence, I had another week off last week because I was just like burnt out last week from all the work. On the front end, it looks like nothing's happened, but it's like the old swan going like that under the water.
Yeah, I've actually hired a VA. I'm about to hire a second VA because I just can't. I can't cope.
Oh my word! Yeah.
Yeah, I can't cope. And do you have a VA?
No.
You probably should get one. Even if it's just somebody who can just go into your social media profiles and just answer your messages and answer your emails and just tag you on the really, big ones that they can't answer. Even just taking that off your hands. I couldn't believe that this morning I spent 4 hours just emptying my LinkedIn inbox and my Facebook inbox. There were that many messages from different people that I just thought if somebody can just do that.
Yeah. I haven't quite got to that stage yet.
Yeah. But
I haven't quite got there. I can still do mine in about an hour at the moment with LinkedIn and Facebook, so I'm okay at the moment. But it still take that hour is still like it can be quite. By the time you finish that and answering it and trying to tag it all in, you're sitting there thinking, oh, I've got to go and do something else, and it's like go and put the kettle on, and then you don't want to come back to the computer, and it is an emotional journey setting the business up, but you've
huge.
Done well.
It's huge. Oh, I'm still in it. Thank you for saying that, but I'm still in it. And I think you heard on social media that I gave myself this insane task a couple of weeks ago that I wanted to be on 100 podcasts or shows by the end of the year. That in itself, I've booked 20 shows now.
Oh, wow.
So I'm quite happy, and then I'm a fifth of the way there. But
that's something I was looking forward to, and I've done 2 so far, so I'd love to do some more. How do you get that many? I need to learn some more.
Again, this is what I mean. It's just sort of getting out there, and I'm in a lot of networking groups. Last week, I've actually been asked to speak at a live event that's going to happen in September in Birmingham. And that was because the guy who owns the networking group, he heard me speak. So it's just getting out there. It's just doing lots of this, this is the sort of thing.
Keep going,
I'll have to have a chat with you the next time we chat about how to approach podcasts.
Yeah, I definitely need to up that. Yeah.
I would say just choose one thing. That's the one thing I would say though, okay? Because I have seen some authors who spread themselves so thinly. They're like, oh, I want to do podcasts. I'm going to do social media. I'm also going to do paid adverts. And then they're doing so many things. Yeah. They're barely sleeping. But the thing is, they're doing a little bit of everything and not really touching the sides of anything.
Yeah. So I need to do something well.
Yeah. So I kind of took a few days off after my launch just to bring myself down from the high. And I just sat there and thought, what is going to be the main thing that I do that's going to raise my visibility with this book? And then I decided I was going to do podcasts. The reason being is I'm not really an avid listener of podcasts. I don't really do podcasts. So I didn't really understand why everyone loved them. Everyone's like, oh my God, podcasts are amazing. I'm like, well, why? Yeah. You can't see anybody, so why? Why are we going backwards in time and going back to an audio-only place when we can now see and hear people at the same time? And then it finally hit me a few days after the launch. Because I needed that time away from the launch to bring myself down, but also I'd spent pretty much 6 to 7 months in front of a laptop screen.
Yeah.
Working, whether I'm writing a book or whether I'm editing or whether I'm on social media or whether I'm doing my lives that I do, and like pretty much in front of either a laptop screen or a mobile screen for the last 7 months.
Yeah.
And I just needed a break from the screen. And that's when I thought, that's why people like podcasts. Because it means no screens. It means they can go and do the gardening or do the cooking or go for a walk the dog. They can do these things.
Yeah, commuting when they could.
Still learning, still being engaged, but doing something else and taking time away from the dreaded screen.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought, that's what I really, really want to do.
That's a really good point. Yeah, really good point. Yes, it's something I've thought about with these, because when I finish these each week, I download the video, but I download the audio as well.
You
and
should.
At some point, I want somebody to edit them, because I haven't learnt to edit all the audio yet. And at some point, I'd love to have this as a podcast series and just replay them. But there are points when we say, look at this on screen, or point to the diagram up here on the corner. So it's not going to make a lot of sense on a podcast. Because we're doing it video.
You need a talented editor who can listen to it and chop it up and make it right. But yeah,
oh, it's amazing. So yeah, we're going all around the houses here today, aren't we? Just having a good chinwag.
I love conversations like this. You know, you don't know what you're going to talk about, you just start talking.
Yeah, just go for it. I love it. But no, it is a really important topic in all ways. And you know, I've covered a lot of things about emotional awareness over the weeks, and I do mean a lot of different topics. But at the end of the day, every single thing we think, feel, do, every action, interaction and reaction we have every day is based on an emotion. And you know, this show is a generic one. This is, although my business is at the moment is aimed at teenagers and parenting, I do this live weekly show just generic, aimed at anybody who wants to watch. And it could be any topic around emotions, and starting a business and writing a book and coaching, it's just a perfect fit for another topic around emotions.
It really is.
Yeah. And my dad even watches them. I've got to give him a mention every week now, because my dad even watches them.
Hi, Kay's dad.
And Yvette's my amazing front row lady. She's here watching tonight. She watches every week, bless her.
Oh, thank you.
So to anybody, I get a lot more views on catch up later. People watch later.
Yeah.
And just let you know, thefreedommasterplan.com. That is the link for Mitali's book. If
they go to that link, then they can actually download a free sample chapter.
Oh wow, amazing.
So if they go to that link, download the sample chapter and see if you like it. You know, try before you buy kind of thing.
There we go. See, that way. That's a good idea, a sample chapter.
You should do that. You should absolutely do that for your book. Just, you know, the first and second chapter, just, you know, turn that into a downloadable PDF and give people a taste.
I think it's about the first 19 pages of mine are available on Amazon. So there's quite a bit available at the beginning, just to give them an idea.
And then that back inside feature.
Yeah, but it goes right into about 19 pages on that.
Oh, okay.
Some of them are set like about 2 or 3 pages, and you can't even get through the intro.
Yeah, I think mine is only about. So did you ask them for?
No, they just did it. It was because it was all done through the package. But
interesting. Because I think I only get like 7 or 8 pages in my book. But I mean, I priced my book so low, so it's 99 pence on Kindle. So I'm sort of like, you know, you can't really complain if you only sort of read the first 7 pages. It's like 99 pence.
Might have something to do with it. I don't know. It's no. I'm very pleased with how it's gone, and actually, it's quite incredible this week. I'm selling more outside the UK than in. I've sold in America, Canada, this last week, and I've literally, again, I just had a conversation with a lady in Kenya this evening who wants to buy the book as well. Another lady in Quebec I had a meeting with last week. I'm just like talking to people all over the world, and that's another thing. It's just amazing about doing this online business. It's just, you know, I grew up hearing this saying about if you sit still long enough, the world will come to you, and I feel like this is that moment. It's finally happening, but it's all on Zoom.
Well, I mean, look at my book launch party. There's over 160 people there, but I would say less than 20 were actual friends from where I live. All the rest from all over the world. Yeah. And most of them, people that I've just literally met in the last 6-7 months.
Yeah, amazing.
So I've never actually physically met them. I've met them via Zoom, and that's it.
Yeah,
like and yet this, they were like there us. On my book launch party.
Yeah, like us. But it's just so funny because we'd never met, we'd never communicated, and it was just as we were both writing our books, we just connected, and I know we both followed each other's journey. It was quite amazing. But I just wish my journey had been a little
done so fast, and it's so good as well. And I was like, wow.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, the very fast bit was the bit. Although I'm glad it was done, I think in hindsight there were some bits that meant that it happened so quickly I didn't get time to build up that audience to push the launch more. And
yeah, I think I knew I was doing that.
yeah,
I was building up that audience from October, which then showed in the launch party when all those people turned up. And yeah, you kind of really did rush that bit, didn't you?
yeah, because it's like I started writing it 12th of November, no, 19th of November, and I launched it somewhere around the 19th of January, I think. It was the proper launch party. It was within 2 months.
Yeah.
So to build up an audience, but you already had some degree of an audience there from your publication sort of days. So they knew what you do. You were following the same. So for me to suddenly
agree.
completely switch careers and then go, right, I'm going to write a book and in 2 months build an audience. It was just like, it was not going to happen.
But the good thing is that your book is there.
Yeah.
And you can leverage that book, in a year's time, if you want to you could even do like a second edition, or add in like a guest chapter or something like that. And you can launch it all over again. There's so many things that you can do. You don't have to be like, oh, that I've lost my opportunity. I know so many people that put a book out there and they weren't really aware of what to do with it. So they just put it on Amazon and no one told them what to do. And then they did a relaunch. And then the relaunch went really well. So you can easily relaunch your book if you want to do that.
Do you know, I'm very tempted, but at the right time. But again, I've got to recoup some of the expenses first.
Yeah.
Because that was very expensive going through the publishing package, as you say. It's not cheap.
It's not cheap. If you want to get it done right, and it has to be, because otherwise why are you even doing it?
Yeah.
So if it's not done right, you're actually wasting money.
Yeah.
So I would say, you're looking at several £1,000s, aren't you?
Yeah, easily. Yeah, I've put something with that, and then the cost of the websites and software and equipment and everything. It does run into thousands.
Yeah.
And it does take a long time to rebuild that, but we're getting there. Yeah. And I'm working. You said about coaches. I'm working with a business mentor, and what she calls her. So she's actually called herself a confidence expert, but she's my business coach.
Yeah.
And I'm also working with somebody who's a money mindset coach, which is another interesting one. And I
know someone who does that. That's a big thing. That is a big thing.
Yeah, every week I meet with her, and we've had 10 sessions so far, because I think I've got 2 or 3 to go anyway. Every week I speak with her, I've learned more and more and more about how bad my relationship was with money, and why I've blocked myself from earning more, and understanding about and why I've not been built. When I've run businesses in the past and I've failed, I thought I can't afford to fail this time, and I need to do something. And it's cost me a lot of money to work with this coach to work out how to not throw money away. And I almost feel like I've thrown money to not throw money away.
Yeah.
But again, it's just the emotions that you attach to money are unbelievable.
Oh, it's huge.
And the beliefs that you have about why you can't earn it and why you can't move forward. And again, so that's another really big one. And I think she'd probably like to write a book one day. She's done one of her little free PDF ones at the moment.
Yeah. It's a huge thing. I think, especially as an entrepreneur, your relationship with money will dictate how much you think you're allowed to charge for things.
Yeah, and I literally 2 months ago, when they said, right, we're going to set your master classes in place, and you're going to do one-to-one coaching, and you're not that I'm officially a coach, one-to-one mentoring, training, whatever I call it. I'm still trying to get the right words, because I'm not officially a coach in qualification terms. And again, that's an amazing conversation I had with this lady in Kenya tonight. She said, what are your qualifications? I'm like, that's the whole point. I don't have any. I'm not getting them because my experience about being a mum who helped my son through depression without all the knowledge and experience and the qualifications is exactly why I've written this book. Because if I could do it without a qualification, so can other mums.
I would say getting a qualification will almost be messing with your USP, really.
Yeah.
It'd be a bad thing.
For anybody who's watching and doesn't know that in business terms, that's a unique selling point.
Well, that's what's wonderful about you. You have this amazing story of all these people who've got qualifications up to their eyeballs who couldn't help their son, and you were able to have that breakthrough with them without any qualifications. So it's almost like if you got qualifications, it's weird, but you're in a weird situation where getting qualifications, you would lose authority instead of gain authority.
Possibly, although I don't know. I think at some point I'd like to do philosophy, and I think that would work on the back well, that if this led to philosophy later, because it was the fact that I kept asking questions and never gave up, and I kept thinking, okay, I'm like a thinker. I am a thinker. Okay, so nobody's found the answer yet, but that doesn't mean there isn't an answer. What can I find out that nobody else could do? And I literally sat and watched the world and thought, and it was like really weird moments. I'd be sitting there, I'd be thinking about something, and then it was like my head. You know that bit in the X-Men where Xavier goes out onto that platform in that dome, and he puts that hat on, and he goes out around the universe. And physically, it felt like those moments where I'd be sitting there, and all of a sudden, a question would come into my head, and my head would go round the globe, come back, stick knowledge in my head, and go, now sort that out.
I'm never going to be able to watch the X-Men again without picturing your face now.
Oh no, that's scary. But it's how it physically felt at times. And I'd literally reel back, was like, whoa, what am I supposed to do with all that knowledge? And it just gradually pieced together to become the strategy that I've got. But it was just this weird sensation of like my head would ask a question, scan the globe, and come back within seconds and say, there's your answer.
Absolutely.
And so that's where I think, the way I think, and even my son's referred to me as a philosopher at points, but I think that would be the one that would be for me if I did do it, if I went on to do something like that, because it would expand on that point of why it's important to keep asking questions and never accept that there isn't an answer, and that just because nobody's helped so far.
I think you'd be okay to get, I think I was talking more in terms of, coaching qualifications or therapy qualifications, and your whole backstory is people couldn't help you. They couldn't help your son.
Yeah, because again, this lady, she said to me tonight, she said, you know what's amazing? She said, is you don't have to stick to the rules with what you do. She said, she's a psychologist, so she has to stick to the rules of psychology with her clients, with what she's learned. And it's like you hear that about doctors and medicine. There's so many ways they could treat a patient, but they're only allowed to treat them within the bounds of their medical practice. Anything that falls outside that, they're not allowed to advocate. Absolutely. So they say, that's a myth, or that doesn't work. But they don't say, I can't teach you that, or I can't treat you with that, and I can't do that. They say it's not right.
Yeah, or it doesn't
but actually,
work.
That's the wrong thing to say. And this is where, for me, I think to get qualifications, like you say, along those lines, would tie me into a set of rules that would suffocate me. Mentally, that would suffocate me, and I need to have the freedom to be able to teach the way I want to teach. So,
and I think the people who are going to be attracted to you are the people who've already gone through that experience of going with these highly qualified people and not getting anywhere with them, or going around in circles with them. So I think they'd be attracted to you because you don't have those qualifications, and instead you're coming from the angle of, they gave up on my son, but I was able to get him back from the brink.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's really weird going from that point where for years I've said I'm just a mum. I'm just a mum. I help my son, to the point that, and that we were saying earlier about, it's that comfort zone going through to that point. And again, it was another conversation I had this morning about imposter syndrome, to get to the point where I say I'm an emotional awareness expert. But it's like, who decides I'm an expert,
Well, you decide. That's the key, and that's one of the key things that goes back to my book. That's what I talk about. And then there's a lot of people. There's a part in my book where I talk about people having imposter syndrome about becoming an author, and they ask themselves the question: who am I to be an author? Who am I to be an authority on something? Who am I to be an expert? And I talk about this in my book, and then I say, if you're waiting for somebody to give you authority or give you expert status, you're going to be waiting a very long time, maybe all your life. And, one thing I've discovered working as a ghostwriter for these six-figure coaches and consultants and speakers, and people kind of assume that they must be obviously a lot better than the average culture consultant who's earning maybe, I don't know, 40, 50,000 pounds a year. What I discovered working with these high six-figure consultants and coaches is they're not. They're
no
good,
different.
but they're just as good. They're not better. But what they have done is they have all this confidence to say, I deserve to be an authority. I deserve to be seen as an expert in my field. They made the decision, and other people think the position has been bestowed on them, but it hasn't. They chose it. They said, this is what I am. A great guy who I've become really good friends with, and the guy who actually wrote the foreword of my book, Brad Burson, he said that as well. He's like, he is, by the way, the #1 motivational speaker in the UK.
Oh, wow.
But he started off saying that because he decided he was going to be the #1. So he started telling everybody, I'm the #1 motivational coach in the UK. I wasn't really sure whether he was or not.
Yeah, I've got a book from somebody else who says the same, but yeah.
He basically manifested it. He decided, I'm going to tell people I'm the #1 motivational speaker in the UK. And then he became, and he is now the #1 motivational speaker in the UK.
Unbelievable.
But he decided he was going to be it. No one else said, hey, Brad, do you fancy being the best motivational speaker in the UK? He decided he was going to do it. And that's the thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely hoping to be the best emotional awareness speaker in the UK.
There you
because
go.
I don't think, actually, I think I can say I am, because I don't know anybody else that goes by that title.
Well, there you go. See, #1 already.
So there's Daniel Goleman, who does all the emotional intelligence, and that's quite interesting because there's 5 levels of emotional intelligence on his model.
Yeah.
But what I focus on is the first 2, the awareness of your own emotions and the moderation of your own emotions. So I focus on that. Although the parent toolbox in every section of the book is about then taking the parent's view to the next level of understanding their child's. So that goes to level 3, and then opening up that conversation. But I don't go too much into level 4. So I sort of 1 and 2, and then the parent toolbox dips into level 3 of his. So this shows I do know what I'm talking about.
You do, of course you do.
I do. I have looked and learned and studied. Not that I've read a great deal of Daniel Goleman's work or anything, but I am aware of the model and everything about that model and the stages of it. And it's incredible because then things like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I don't know if you know that one.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Well, again, that one's 5 levels of needs from physiological right through to your higher purpose. And with that one, Where on Daniel Goleman's, I'm only on the first 2, dipping into 3. On Maslow's hierarchy, my emotional cycle is like that runs multiple times through every level. Because if you imagine being starved of air, right, like you're underwater and you're drowning and you need air and oxygen, you're going to run through that whole panic, anger, like frustration. How can I get out of this? Oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, oh no, this is not, I'm giving up. I'm going to, and you go through the whole anger, stress, depression, sadness very rapidly. And then you come up for air and you're like, oh, and then it's like you hit that high, like, yes, I've got air, and your emotional cycle completes at the top. So you run through that whole emotional cycle very quickly in gasping and in coming up and grabbing air and like, yes, I can breathe. And then the next thing is you run through the emotional cycle again because you're like, now I need water to drink, or I need food to eat, or I need to go to the toilet, or whatever, So you go through all it, and the emotional cycle runs through for every one of those physiological needs. And then when you've filled all of them, your emotions are not going to stop. Your emotional cycle still wants to go. So that's when it goes up to the next level. I need security. I need love. And then when you filled them all, but when you get to the top and you're filling your higher purpose, and this is where I found myself last year, you're filling your higher purpose on that hierarchy of needs. And then the bit about being loved and feeling secure, like becoming homeless and losing my marriage, came out last year. Everything above it crashes down.
Yeah.
And you are no longer focused on that
triangle. You need the base needs to be there, otherwise the top doesn't work.
And everything else about your purpose. So there I am trying to train for a job, for a higher purpose, whilst trying to deal with all of that going on. And it was just like, no, I can't do it. And I really struggled, and I ended up leaving the job. And then really working really, really hard on myself last year, really hard, like you said, with coaches. I had counselling, I had therapy, other therapy sessions as well. I was doing the meditation and the affirmations and the yoga and trying to eat a healthy diet. I will say trying on that one, but it didn't work. The healthiest part of it at the end of the day that made me feel good was chocolate, so that wasn't good.
Okay.
I'm still fighting off the chocolate one. You were talking about other addictions. I'm still fighting off the chocolate one.
I have to say, I've never been into chocolate all that much at all.
Oh, yeah, that's my big go-to. And that links back to a memory when I was about 3, and it's my first what I'd call happy memory. I've got a couple of memories before that, but they were things where things had gone wrong, like falling down the stairs or being ill or crying or something, and I got remember some other things where I was upset. But my first happy memory was sitting there with this big shiny red Easter egg in the foil in the box, and we'd come home at night in the dark and it was cold, and my mum and dad said, right, sit on that chair, and they were running around getting warm milk, putting the heaters on. And I just remember all this like fuss going on where they're trying to warm up the house and get things so I can go to bed. And in the meantime, I'm just sat there in this complete moment of mindfulness with this egg in shiny, crinkly foil, and just absolutely mesmerised by the colour and the texture. And then that taste was my first happy memory of flavour.
Oh, wow. I don't
remember.
think you'll ever get over chocolate then with a memory
No.
like that. It's not going to happen, is it? That is one hell of a memory.
Yeah, and I remember seeing so tiny, but that's the first real pleasant memory I've got is of eating chocolate. And it's like now how when I feel like I need a moment of feeling like with all the buzz and the fuss and everything going on and I need a quiet moment out, it's just like I naturally go to chocolate, and I have done all my life, and it's only this last year that I've realised it connects back to that memory. So
that's interesting.
Coaches are amazing, but it's good that now it takes me back to that happy memory, but I've now got to work out how to let go of it and find something else more positive. Or healthy.
Yeah, maybe you could switch to dark chocolate or something with less sugar.
Oh, I do have dark chocolate
isn't
now.
a bad thing.
Yeah, I'm dairy intolerant, so I do have dark chocolate now. It's down to reducing the quantity of it.
There's a really good company called Heavenly Chocolate.
Ooh.
And they do chocolate with coconut milk.
Oh, I'm writing that one down as we speak.
I've got a monthly subscription. I get like 40 odd bars that turn up at my house.
A month? And you said you don't eat a lot of chocolate.
But I don't feel guilty. I don't even think of it as proper chocolate because it's not that.
That's a good way of doing it. I'll buy that one and then not call it chocolate.
Under 4% sugar. You literally couldn't get fat on it.
Oh my word! I definitely need to look that one up.
Heavenly
Thank you.
Chocolate. They're wonderful. They're a vegan company, and that's why they do all their chocolates are completely vegan, no milk in them.
Oh wow!
But the thing with dark chocolate is, I love dark chocolate, but you can get tired of just dark chocolate, you know. Whereas they can do everything, as if it was all chocolate. So they have like orange, mint.
I'm going shopping after this.
Coconut, everything you want. Amazing, really, really good company. They were on Dragon's Den. I think they were on Dragon's Den a couple of years ago, and they got funding.
Oh, I haven't watched them for a few years. That's probably why I didn't know about it. Yeah, I used to love watching that.
It's not even chocolate. You're allowed to eat it every day, and you won't even feel guilty at all.
Wow, I am definitely looking it up. Wow, yes, that's going on my shopping list. That's going before I even go and get my shopping. I'm ordering that. Let's give it a go. So my health coach, if he watches this, that's the other one, because I've got 3 coaches. I've got a health coach as well.
Ask him and send him the details. You honestly could. Yeah. I'm not saying you should eat all 40 in one day or anything stupid like that, but you could eat. I'd eat about 4 or 5 squares a day, and I don't feel any guilt whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because there's like under 4% sugar.
Oh wow.
No milk. Yeah. What's going to be bad about it? It's just food. It's just good.
There we go. We've just resolved the nation's emotional crisis at the end of the chat tonight.
Exactly. Go and get heavenly chocolate.
Certainly mine, anyway. Oh well. Anyway, I have absolutely loved talking to you. I can't believe an hour has absolutely flown by.
I know, we could just talk about. I've got a funny feeling at some point, once this pandemic is over, we're going to end up somewhere with a several bottles of wine and we're just going to put the world to rights.
Yeah, just point me to a campsite and we'll meet up with a camper van. That's fine.
Absolutely.
At the middle of a field, no matter how much noise we make. So, right, I should very quickly read out from my green book here who we got on next week. Because I do like to let everybody know if I can. Next week I've got a lady, I've got to check up with her actually if she's still available. A lady named Claire Ford, and she's going to be talking about switched on kids. So we're talking about that sounds interesting. Do you know what? I'm going to leave it at that because that's intriguing enough on its own. Switched on kids. I think it says a lot actually. That's the title I've got down. It's the notes I've made. So switched on kids. So I'm going to leave it at that. Lady named Claire Ford. I'm looking forward to catching up, making sure she's still available for next Tuesday and having a chat with her. And I have thoroughly enjoyed having a chat with you tonight.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it too.
Thank you. And I'm definitely looking forward to reading the last little bit of your book and seeing if I can turn my book into a 6-figure income plan.
You'll be able to just start implementing, just cherry pick the strategies. That's all I'll say. Don't implement them all because you'll go crazy. You know, it's about reading my book. Well, this is not just for you, for anyone. Read my book and then cherry pick a few strategies that you think, yeah, that would work for me. I quite like doing that. And then just do it. Go out and do it.
Yeah. I love your one about the lady who sets up a stall outside events and that, because that's not been one we can use this year.
Well, no, that's not. Yeah, that's pre-pandemic, obviously.
Yeah,
but yeah, she's a master at that, and I just thought that's just genius. She just creates a stall. She just hires a couple of people to create a stall for her, and then she creates a book signing hour.
Yeah.
You know, and then people think, oh my God, it's an author, and she's, you know, and then they get the book and they want it signed. He's building authority and credibility. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely looking forward to finishing the rest of the book, implementing at least a couple of the strategies and cherry picked and go from there. And maybe we'll redo this again towards the end of the year and see where we've got to.
Definitely. That'd be great.
And good luck with your podcast endeavours.
Thank you.
I think that's one I'm going to be looking to follow, of the strategies. And because I love doing this and I'd love to be able to do the same, join on other people's. And
I was about to say, I think it'll be a good strategy for you because I get the feeling that people who choose to do things like adverts and that kind of thing tend to be people who are not comfortable doing this kind of thing. No. Whereas if you're comfortable going live and you're creating shows, then why wouldn't you increase your visibility doing podcasts?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much indeed. And yes, look forward to speaking to everybody again next week. And for anybody watching on a replay, if you've managed to sit through this, I'm absolutely grateful to you. And please drop us any comments, likes and feedback afterwards. Always love some feedback. And thank you so much to Mitali. It's been amazing having a chat with you again tonight. See you all again next Tuesday at 7 p.m. And don't forget also, this will be, if anybody's catching this on Facebook and wants to share it, the replay will also be on YouTube within a day or two as well. Okay. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.